Are we live? Yes, we most certainly are. What is happening, movie fans all around the world? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial, and this is another edition of my live. And yes, I am back on camera. You see my smiling face again. Yes. Welcome, one and all. To those of you who are new, welcome. This is a channel talking about all the things in the world of movies and shows, everything in nerd and geek culture. So if you like what you see here tonight and you want to see more from me, it would help a lot if you at least leave a thumbs up, let you know that you're enjoying what I do, helps me out in the algorithm. And of course, please subscribe if you enjoy my content. Trying to get to 500 subscribers, man. We're on the road to there. Hopefully, we'll reach it very soon. But any type of engagement counts. But today we have a very special edition of my live. Got something very special for you guys today. I've been waiting to talk about this for such a long time. Today we are going to be talking about Avatar. No, we're not talking about The Last Airbender, which I'm sure a lot of you would prefer me to talk about, but no, we're going to be talking about James Cameron's Avatar. Yes, the movie with the blue people. Finally, going to be talking about it. I am so excited to get into this. So for those of you, most of you probably already know, uh, the re-release of the first Avatar. It just came out in theaters this past week. This weekend, we're still in the weekend now. It's almost over, but they just released the re-release out in theaters for people to see, and it's remastered effects. It's supposed to be updated to more of a 4K quality. The colors booming, so yeah, I did go and see the re-release yesterday as of this stream. So we're gonna be talking about how the re-release was. Did I feel like there was a significant difference with the quality and the effects? And then we're just going to get into a big old discussion about the movie itself. We're going to go into full detail about the movie. We're going to be talking about all the criticisms that this movie has been getting the past few years since it's come out. Talk about things that I really enjoyed. We're going to talk about the things I didn't like. We're going to talk about everything James Cameron's Avatar. So excited to get into this. Um, I may have some guests come in here and there. We'll see how it goes. I put out an invite as always. We'll see who decides to pop in. But for the most part, I believe it's going to be me this time. But that's okay. We're going to have a really nice discussion for you guys here tonight. So yeah. Before we get into it, I guess I already laid it out there. I'm sure it goes without saying that from this point forward, it's going to be spoilers. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. This movie is over 10 years old now, so I'm sure everyone on the planet has seen this movie already. It's the highest grossing film of all time. Um, but if you're one of those very few people that still hasn't seen this movie and you don't want to know anything about it, I suggest you go watch it. The re-release is out in theaters right now. Go to the theater and see it. It's definitely worth seeing it in theaters at least once. And I wanted to, another recommendation I will give to you guys. I think it's worth seeing in 3D. Now, I'm not a big 3D person, but that's one of those movies that I think you should go see in 3D if they have it. We'll get more into details about that in a minute. But yeah, so you don't want to know anything about Avatar. You haven't seen Avatar. If you one of those poor unfortunate souls that haven't seen it, don't want to know anything, go watch it, and then come back and listen to this if you don't want anything spoiled. So you have been warned. All right. So as I said, I did go and see the re-release at AMC. I think AMC is the only theater that it I think there's other theaters that are doing the re-release also, not just AMC, but that's like the main theaters that are doing the re-release. Unfortunately, they don't have it at Imagine. That's for those of you who are outside of Michigan, don't know what Imagine is. Yeah, it's one of the more popular theaters here in Michigan. I was hoping they would have it there, but unfortunately not. But that's okay. AMC is there, and still had a joyous time, and got to see it in IMAX 3D. Now, I don't remember the last movie that I saw in IMAX. What was the last movie I saw in IMAX? Uh, I think it was Batman v Superman. Yeah, I think Batman v Superman was the last IMAX movie I saw in theaters, and then before that, uh, hey, we're going to go back farther than that. It's probably Star Trek 2009. I remember seeing that in IMAX. I saw that at the Science Center here in Detroit. It was a really cool experience. But yeah, I was glad to finally see this in IMAX 3D because the first time I saw this in 2009, I did not see it in IMAX or in 3D. I saw it the regular way. Still, had a good time watching it, but I did feel like I was missing out on the experience. And now finally seeing it in IMAX 3D, I finally saw what I was missing out on. And also, they gave away some cool posters. Look at this. Look at this beauty, man. I like this. I might have to put this on my wall somewhere, or maybe I'll display it in the background somewhere so people can see it. But it's a really nice poster. The IMAX 3D experience. Yeah, like that, right? Very cool. I like this a lot. Yeah, so that was cool. Um, Now, also, I should also say before we get into details about this movie, um, while I'm also going to be talking about the re-release, we're going to talk about the movie in detail. I'm also going to be talking about the extended cut. Yes, for those you don't know, there is an extended cut of Avatar that is 3 hours long. The theatrical cut, I think, is only 2 hours and 45 minutes. Unfortunately, the re-release was just a theatrical cut, so I was kind of bummed out they couldn't put the extended version out in theaters, and remaster that. I mean, I don't see why not. You know, um, I don't know if they did that for Batman v Superman or not. Probably I don't. Probably not. I know like when they did the Ultimate Edition, I know it wasn't. Um, I know they weren't showing it at every theater around the country, so I think it was only select theaters. So I don't know if they did IMAX for that or not. But it's James Cameron. Like I'm surprised he didn't put his foot down, and be like, we're gonna have the extended cut be the remastered, and that's the intended version for people to see. Because in my opinion, and like I said, we'll get more into details in a minute, but in my opinion, I think the extended cut is the definitive version. Um, but anyway, yeah, and of course, do I own the extended cut? Of course, I have the extended cut. Look at this. Look at this. Got this 3 hour extended edition. This is 3 discs, I think. Yep, 3 disc DVD set. Oh, look at this beauty. Look how nice this is. Man, man, this is why I don't want physical media to go away. Cause look at this. Look at how great this Blu-ray set is. You want me to open it? I'm sure you do want me to open it. Yeah, I'll open it for you guys because you got to see this full out. You got to see it for yourself just to see how beautiful this is. I'm sure for people that already own this, they already know like what it has in here. So this is for people that hadn't seen it. But like, look at that, man. Look at this. Extend the journey, man. Yeah, look how beautiful this is. Hold on. There's more. There's more, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Look at this. Look at it. Woo! Yes. So beautiful. So beautiful. What does that say? Well, oh, this is the in Navi language. This down here, I forgot what it says, but oh man, look at that! Look at that! And then wait, look at the backside. Look at the backside. Woo! Yes, yes. That's very nice. Like this a lot, a lot. And then we're gonna open it, see what the disc says, what the discs hold. This is some papers, Let me if you want to see some papers. Look at this. Look at it. More artwork. It's pretty nice. Look, there's Neytiri and Jake on the across the bridge somewhere. Then hold on. You got the journey deeper into Avatar. You got Jake right there. If you want to see the paper is right there. Uh Oh, this is like some other extra stuff that like there's a I think this is a DLC order or whatever. Like there's no code on here, so that's okay. I can show this. But what does it say? Oh, it's like a survival guide for Pandora or whatever this is. Um okay. All right. I don't know why I didn't notice it, but really realized they had that, but that's cool. Okay, now getting back continuing back into this. Ooh. Ooh, look at that. Oh yeah. Look at that. Nate Terry with the bow and arrow. We going to continue this on. Hold on a second. Nate Terry. Look at that glare from my laptop. I'm sorry, guys. But look at that. Nate Terry. And then see all the Navis welcoming Jake as one of their own. And then we got more Nate Terry, because you can't get enough of Nate Terry. And then Jake right there. Yep. And then finally, oh yeah, we got Jake. Sorry about that glare, guys. I'm trying not to get that. Okay. Yeah, we got Jake in his war outfit, and he got the Navi Mohawk dreads right there. And you see all the winged creatures heading for battle. Look at that. Yes, this is an absolute amazing set they have here that I own. Happy that I was able to get this. Physical media should never die. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I don't care what you got to say about streaming and blah blah blah. Physical media, I hope it stays around for at least until my lifetime. You know. Um, but yeah, man. So that's me gloating about my blue DVD case. This is not a Blu-ray. This is just regular DVD. Um, maybe I should get it on Blu-ray. I might consider getting it on Blu-ray. Get two versions, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe like when the remastered. I'm sure they're gonna put the remastered on physical media and Disney Plus, I guess, which is cool too. But yeah, I would like to own it. I like to own it. But anyway, enough of that. So yeah, let's get into this movie. First, let's talk about how I felt about the re-release. So the re-release, I didn't really know I didn't know like exactly what we were going to get with the remastered. A lot of people were speculating that James Cameron was going to go back and like enhance the effects, which I'm like, how can you improve on what's already there? How can you improve perfection? So I don't know how much tuning he would do with that, but I'm sure not very much, because the effects for Avatar hold up really really well, so I don't know how much they would really like have to improve with that. But for sure, when they were going to have it like in high res 4K, and the colors looking more vibrant. I saw the TV spots and stuff like that. I saw the difference between the original version and this one, and yeah, you could definitely see a difference with the color for sure. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I gotta say, the re-release, the remastered, man, it looks gorgeous, man. It looks gorgeous. The colors definitely popped more. And it didn't look too much. Like there'll be some versions where they try to like, update the HD and stuff like that, and the colors, and it will look artificial, but it definitely didn't look artificial with this. It just made it more vivid, and to think that you didn't think that they would could make it any more vivid than it already was. But yeah, definitely the re-release, very very good. um but man, I guess we could start slowly transitioning into the talking about the movie. um oh, also another thing, for people that don't know, they did, for those of you who are wondering, do they show special footage of The Way of Water? Yes, they do. um this mid-credit scene. So you just got to wait for like the beginning credits, before the regular black screen and you see the credits going up and up. They show the scene before you see those credits. So stay till the movie's over. They will show you footage of The Way of Water. If you guys are interested in seeing it, or if you guys just want to wait till The Way of Water comes out. But I will be talking about that as well later. But just let you guys know about that. But so let's talk about. I guess we could start with the effects, cause just to get that out the way, so we can get into the nitty gritty of stuff. Because I'm sure not too much to say about the effects that hasn't already been said already. So I'm just gonna be gushing about that for a minute. Um, but man, Avatar, it's a technical achievement. It really is. Um, I'm just blown away by what James Cameron did with this movie, man. Um, James Cameron is one of my favorite directors out there, and to me, he's probably one of the best. If there is anybody, a lot of people would have like debates and conversations about who could possibly be on that level with the Steven Spielberg, who, in my opinion, I think he's the greatest director of all time. But if anybody's in that conversation, to me, it's James Cameron. I don't know if I could say he's quite on that level yet or surpasses him. Not quite, because I feel like with Steven Spielberg, he goes into all different genres of film, and he's successful in most of them. And I feel like James Cameron, while he's great at the genres that he does, I feel like he needs to expand a little bit more when it comes to like the different genres of filmmaking, because normally he just stays in like the science fiction type of stuff. He did do True Lies, which that's not a sci-fi film, but that's an action movie. So he did try to do something different there, but I think he should try and experiment with other genres too, like maybe do a horror film, maybe do a drama, maybe do a I don't know, kids movie. I don't know. But like I think James Cameron's pretty close to being one of the best of all time. I'm sure that everyone has their conversations about the Ridley Scotts and the Christopher Nolan's and the Denis Villeneuve's and the um what's in there? What's who did Simon Kinberg? Yeah. Everyone has their conversation, but James Cameron, he got to be in that conversation, at least for me. I pretty much love every movie that he's done. Like I said, I really enjoyed True Lies. Um, I love the first two Terminator movies he's done. Terminator One, Terminator Two, Judgment Day. Um, two of them, and also Aliens. Sequel to Alien that Ridley Scott did. I love what he did with Aliens, and like most of his movies are in my list of my favorite films of all time. Um, one day maybe I'll reveal my list of my favorite films of all time. One day. But yeah, James Cameron, he's definitely up there. He's just what I really love about him is his attention to detail when it comes to his filmmaking. Like he just puts so much, you know, details and craftsmanship to every little thing that he puts in his films. Whether it's the performances, whether it's the score, whether it's just the world that he creates, the effects. Like he puts a lot of time and dedication into it. Where it's like whatever world he's establishing in his movies, it feels real. It feels tangible, no matter how crazy and over the top they are. Um, but yeah, he's just fantastic, man. But getting back to these effects, bro. Um, jeez. Like as I said, this is a technological achievement. Um, of course, like he's not the first one to like do an all like CGI environment and motion capture characters. That's done before. That's been done before. Like, of course, people would like to point to stuff like well, the biggest, well, infamously, George Lucas and the Star Wars prequels. I feel like he's the one that that started, actually really making it popular to make all green screen environments and motion capture. Like he was the one to help bring it into this era, I guess. But then you had people like James Cameron, and also I'll put there in there John Favreau, him doing pioneering the all CGI environments. You know, the stuff that he did with the live action Jungle Book and Lion King 2019, and the stuff that he's doing with the Mandalorian with stagecraft, and the other Star Wars shows that end up using the same type of stagecraft technology. Um, Man, it's just it, James Cameron. I feel like he's the one that perfected it the best. Um, like as far as like just believing that you're on another planet with these different aliens, like I believed Pandora was an actual place. Like there's nothing that really felt fake about it. I mean, yeah, things were like over the top and whimsical as far as like how stuff looked and the colors and the alien designs, but like I believed there was actually a place. Um, it's just so incredible what James did with this film, like as far as just creating this world. This world is just so it's just so cool, man. It's so damn cool. Um, and it's like I don't feel like there's like films that really have went like this like detailed as far as creating like just like this totally different alien planet with all these like different colors and just its ecosystem and stuff like that. Hold on one second. We're gonna look at the chat real quick. Finally got a chat in. We got Mad Max from Movie Madness and Entertainment. Hey DL, I'm watching from my parents. Yeah, he's someone that I really wanted to be. I wanted him to be on here the most because like both of us are like we praise Avatar, man. We both love this movie and we're both really excited for Way of Water, and like I was really hoping I could, gush about this movie with him. But I appreciate you at least being in the chat, Max. I appreciate you being here. But anyway, getting back to but yeah, I just love the world, man. It's so cool. The effects hold up to this day. This film came out in 2009. 2009. And in watching this re-release, if this film came out today for the first time, it still holds up. It still holds up. It looks like a movie that came out today, holding up with like movies like um Dune and the MonsterVerse movies with Godzilla, Star Wars. Like this does not feel like a movie that came out in 2009 effects wise. Like I just I'm just blown away by it. And then Max is like, can't wait to get my tickets for the second one. Me neither, man. I think it's gonna be crazy. When those tickets go on sale, I think the sites are gonna crash. Most likely they're gonna crash. Um, so I don't know if I'm gonna try and get my tickets like the moment it releases. Um, I'm probably gonna wait it out. Normally when it comes to big movies like this, I'd be lucky if I get to see it opening day, um, let alone opening weekend. Um, but I'm gonna try, man. I'm definitely gonna try. The best thing about it is probably go to a theater that's not as big, like maybe go to a smaller theater. I don't know. The Max is like, I don't think many productions are trying to do special effects on this level. Absolutely. I totally agree. Like when you see movies today, I'm not saying all movies like are lazy when it comes to effects. Obviously not. Of course, there's movies that have really good effects. As I said, like Dune had fantastic special effects. Blade Runner 2049, um, Star Wars, obviously, but with the movies at least. So yeah, there and I'll say some Marvel films and some DC films have some really good special effects, but like you can tell like for certain films you could tell they're starting to get lazy when it comes to CGI and like just the spectacle of it. Like they feel like the effects are what's going to really sell the movie. It doesn't matter like how real they are; they're just going to look cool, which I guess kind of understand to an extent. But with James Cameron, what I definitely respect about him is that when he's using visual effects, he puts as much time as he needs to into making it look convincing. You know, he doesn't settle for just, phoning it. He doesn't phone in his visual effects. Like none of his effects look cheesy. None of his effects look like, it was just it was made like in a month. you know, like what I could definitely criticize with some Marvel films here and there. I feel like the CGI can be lazy. And even I'll say like some shows on Disney Plus, Star Wars and Marvel, when their effects are kind of lazy here and there. But James is not for that, man. Like he like I said, he wants everything to look as convincing as possible. And like when I say like he's an attention to detail director, like he gets the little things that people usually don't notice, like when he's doing motion capture for these characters, like he gets down to the very minute details, like when it comes to the pores of of people, like the sweat, how the eyes move, how the pupils dilate, like how they interact with the environment, like how does that affect how they look and their complexion, like all of that, like you could just see it, when you just see the motion capture for these aliens, they look like actual people. They react how like close to being as like tangible as we would see them in real life. So it's just, man, bravo to Cameron on that aspect. And like let's talk about like these creature designs, man. Like look at this. Look at these creature designs. Like of course like some things are like familiar like with animals we see today, but like these creatures look really cool, man. These are some really cool look creatures. Look at that. Now these creatures right here, they're from the extended cut for people that don't know. So somebody you may not recognize if you only saw the theatrical. So that's something from the extended cut, but I gotta um include that in here. But man, look at these. Look at these creatures, man. It's so cool. It's just so cool, man. I love the effects in here. The motion capture, as I said, looks great. The actors did a fantastic job. Fantastic job. Um, really bought them. Like you could tell nobody's really like phoning it in when it comes to the motion capture. Like I didn't feel any uncanny valley or stuff like that. Like and stuff like when it comes to their movements, like it felt natural for the most part. Even we're talking about aliens here, but like man, the motion capture really was good, really good in this, and you could tell it paved the way for stuff later, like when we eventually got Thanos, played by Josh Brolin. The motion capture there was um, great in that. So man, this really set a bar, and it's like I could tell movies looked at this and was like trying to emulate the quality of this. So as far as the effects wise, this is revolutionary, and we need more movies like this that pushes the envelope when it comes to effects like this. And we are starting to get that, as I said, um like stuff like Jungle Book and Lion King 2019. Even though I'm not a fan of Lion King 2019, but I cannot deny um that John Favreau did an excellent job for the most part, creating Africa in that movie, like looking like it's actually a real place and real animals, It kind of to the detriment of that movie, making it seem too real to where like it feels like expressionless and joyless and soulless, but regardless, it looked like a National Geographic documentary there. But yeah, stuff's pushing the envelope, pushing the envelope like that. And then Alita Battle Angel. I gotta bring up Alita Battle Angel, of course, because that's a movie produced by James Cameron, directed by Robert Rodriguez. But like that's another movie that I feel like they're pushing the envelope when it comes to effects. Like pretty much most of the effects in Alita looked awesome, looked excellent. Alita looked like an actual person, like she felt like an actual person, even though she had like those big anime eyes and of course the robotic prosthetics. She looked like she was actually there, and she felt like a three-dimensional character. So you definitely feel like Avatar left an impact as far as effects. Um, and Maxlin said, still not so that they had to develop underwater motion capture to accomplish the look, but hope James proves me wrong. Oh man, I'm sure he will. And talking about the mid credit scene, without giving much away, um, you definitely you I think you'll be sold, Max. I think you'll definitely be sold. I don't know if you saw the re-release already and you know what I'm talking about when it comes to that scene, but like going off of that, like I said, we'll talk about it later, but like going off of that, I'm sure I'm sure James is gonna prove us wrong when it comes to the water underwater stuff with that. Um but yeah. So, um is there anything else to really gush about as far as the effects wise? Like, no, I think I pretty much like covered it all. And like I said, the designs of everything was cool. The planet looked great. Even like the tech for the sky people that they call in this movie, like the humans that they use, the tech that the humans use in this movie, it looked really cool. Like the giant construction trucks and the mechs that look like something out of a Halo. Um, all of that was really cool. It definitely made the film feel more massive, and big in scale. Um, but yeah, you definitely feel like there's some Terminator alien influences when it comes to the tech and the weapons that the humans use in this movie. So definitely love that. Love that a lot. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say effects wise about it. If you guys want to comment down below what some of your favorite stuff effects wise, you can go ahead and leave it there, and I'll highlight it, and we can talk about that if I didn't cover it already. But yeah, I guess yeah, let's get into the actual story and characters, which I which apparently is a point of contention when it comes to moviegoers. So I gotta say, I me personally, I don't understand the hate that this movie gets. I really don't. Um, I could get like, this type of movie is not everyone's cup of tea. I could see if people don't like, don't love this. That's fine. But like to flat out hate it, like I don't understand the hate. Or like people don't care about this movie. They that there's nothing like creative or innovative about this film. I don't know what movie these guys are watching. I don't know what movies you're watching. If you guys if you guys are watching this that are haters and naysayers. Um, I mean, if there's anybody watching that that aren't big fans of this movie, I would like to know why. Um, I would like to know why you think so. I'm open to hearing all opinions. Like this is another reason why I wanted to talk about this on the stream is that, and I was hoping to get viewers, other people on the panel to talk about this that had different opinions about this. I wanted a whole array of opinions when it comes to this movie because like apparently there's a divide with this film. And I just want to understand everyone else's point of view when it comes to this movie. But I don't know. I guess I could just like address the stuff that I've been hearing over the past few years. We can go one by one with them, I guess. But like, I guess we could start off with the fact that for people that think that when they're trying to make a franchise out of this, this movie ended up being the highest grossing film of all time. Of all time, like this is the biggest this movie holds the biggest box office ever. I'm going to pull up exactly the number right here, so you guys can get an idea. But So $2.8 billion this movie made at the box office. Um, so for a movie that big, people were criticizing for them to make, for them to make sequels out of this. Um, they felt like it was too long. They waited too long to make sequels for this. Because it has been how long? Like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna do some math here. I'm not great at math. So 2023 minus 2009. It's been four 13 years. 13 years since the first movie. And people are criticizing the fact that this movie, as far as The Way of Water and the other three sequels we're supposed to be getting, they waited too long to make a sequel. And so I guess people don't really care about it anymore because, they didn't capitalize on the momentum that the first movie had. Um to an extent I agree. I agree. I personally feel like they did wait too long to make The Way of Water and greenlight the sequels, and it definitely surprised me that since the first movie, like I said, is the biggest box office gross of all time, you would think that Fox wouldn't wait to greenlight sequels to this. Like personally, I feel like this is a movie that probably should have came out. The Way of Water probably should have came out maybe 2013, 2015 at the latest. Um, though on the other hand, I don't know if Avatar would want to compete with Star Wars because that's when The Force Awakens came out in 2015. So I don't know if they would want to release it the same year as Avatar, but like realistically, I personally feel like they could have capitalized on the momentum if they released it at least, 2013 to 2015. I think that would have been better. Um, but yeah, I do feel like they waited too long. And going to another criticism that people had with this movie is that they say that this film didn't leave an impact as far as pop culture. Like it didn't leave a staple as far as it being talked about as much as other, popular films. So mainly meaning that like you don't see it referenced that much when it comes to like shows or as far as merchandise or spin-off TV shows or stuff like that, or as far as discussions overall when people talk about movies that impacted the way we look at film, people are claiming that this movie didn't leave an impact. Like people don't remember quotes from this movie. People don't remember like that. Like like with certain popular movies they have like that that scene, like a really popular scene that makes the film. Like for instance, Indiana Jones, like an iconic scene like Indy running from the giant like boulder in the temple in like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or like Empire Strikes Back where Darth Vader reveals to Luke that he's his father, or Back to the Future when well, pretty much any moment in Back to the Future is iconic, to be honest. But they it's not as quotable as those movies, or of course Terminator with "I'll be back" or "You are terminated," or stuff like that. Like the movie's not leaving an impact as far as that. Um, I have to push back on that a little bit. Hold on, I'm gonna look at the chat again quickly. Daryl Taylor, hello Daryl, how you doing? Glad you could stop it. You could drop by. Fandom is toxic these days with everything Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, along with Marvel and DC. Plus, fans like to gatekeep, look at the MCU along with the DCU and the Snyderverse. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. And I definitely see like because Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, and DC like have constantly been in the mainstream for all these years, they find some sort of way to keep their property significant. Um, People can remember them. So, and of course, they see like the quality of those like movies and or shows, and and of course they set stuff to that standard. So I definitely agree. As definitely when it comes to Marvel and Star Wars, because that seems like to be like the biggest stuff in the pop culture right now. Two of the biggest things in pop culture right now. I guess a lot of people like keep comparing it to those type of movies and shows, and I think it's unfair, because like there are other properties out there that that bring something unique and cool to the table that Star Wars and Marvel don't. So and like for people to say like if they don't do it exactly like these properties or they don't leave an impact like those properties, it's automatically a failure. And I personally don't agree with that at all. Um, if we had that mindset, as far as movie making would be very it would be very micromanaged now if we've had that mindset. Like would be very one-sided when it comes to creativity in movies. So it's very unfair. I agree that, people immediately just want to compare it to stuff like that. But I guess you can't help it because like technically they're both science fiction properties. So it's like I will admit like nowadays I guess it's kind of hard to really like make something super creative when it comes to science fiction because like I guess a lot of people would feel like they've done so many creative things as far as sci-fi. How many times can you reinvent invent the wheel? Excuse me, I'm thirsty. But yeah, I definitely I definitely don't like the unfair comparisons. But to get back on track, I guess real quick about it not leaving an impact as far as pop culture. Honestly, like I don't really put much weight into that because to be honest, I feel like when shows like Family Guy and Simpsons and South Park like reference popular movies like that, I honestly feel like it's low hanging fruit. Um, like I don't think that should be like the meter of how people should judge a movie. Like that if other shows reference it or stuff like that. Like I really don't think that should be the case. Um, and obviously people we live in this like meme and TikTok culture where like stuff is being referenced left and right, memes and gifs, or people want to call them gifs. I don't care. Gifs, gifs, but like people make gifs out of everything. And so it's like Avatar is not being referenced that much as far as TikTok and memes and South Park and Simpsons and Family Guy referencing it or people quoting these iconic lines. Yeah, that means it's not relevant. Really? Really? Do you hear anybody referencing anything from Nolan's movies outside of the Dark Knight trilogy? Like, do you hear people referencing stuff from Inception? Do you hear people referencing stuff from Interstellar? Do you hear people referencing stuff from Tenet? No. Do you hear people quoting stuff from well, okay, Stanley Kubrick movies? I'll probably give you that. Maybe they do reference some stuff from 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Shining and stuff like that. So I guess so, but not like that much. Um, Terminator has been referenced and meme to death. Alien, I guess, kind of is referenced. Back to the Future is referenced to death. So I'll give you that. But like, that doesn't make or break a great movie. Um, honestly, I think this movie is more relevant than people give it credit for because yeah, people still talk about Avatar, talking about how overrated it is. And if it's overrated, then why are you talking about it? If y'all are going out your way to be hating about Avatar, be like nobody cares about this movie, or oh I can't wait to not see this movie. If you really didn't care about this movie, you wouldn't talk about it. I mean, it's the same. It's a similar thing with the DCEU with Snyder's movies. Like people claim that like the DC like his movies aren't like nobody cares about them. If you don't care about them so much, why do you continue to make hate pieces about them? It obviously is leaving an impact on you if you put in so much effort to talk about how bad it is. So, I mean, I guess technically, I don't know if that's something I would want to state as like a positive when it comes to relevancy with Avatar, but like for people to claim that this movie is not relevant when it comes to the pop culture, uh, other things will say otherwise. If you're continuing to talk about it, whether you're talking about it positive or negative, that's being relevant. You know, Transformers, another franchise that is very successful. Those movies are terrible, and people talk about how much they hate them and how much they are slap in the face to the original source material, and because of that, they stayed relevant. The Transformers movies stayed relevant, even though a lot of people hate them. That's how you're keeping the conversation going, regardless. So, similar thing with Avatar. Even though Avatar is a way better film than any of those Transformers movies, you're keeping them relevant by you because you're still talking about them. And then another thing of why it's ridiculous that people are saying that this movie's not relevant. If it's not relevant, how is it the highest grossing movie of all time? How did it make $2.8 billion if it's not relevant? Obviously, there's something in the movie that made people go see it numerous times, that much to where it made that much money. So yeah, it's relevant. It's definitely relevant. Um, I mean, effects wise, at the very least, it leaves an impact. You know, like this is probably one of the most innovative filmmaking experiences of all time. So yeah, it's relevant on that aspect. You know, it's still it, I don't. I just don't. I never understood that. You know that it's not relevant. Yeah, it's still relevant, guys. Now, as far as the momentum of the movie, like I said, I agree that to an extent that they waited too long to make sequels to this. But as far as it not being important, it is. It definitely is. Just because you don't see it quoted on shows doesn't mean it's not an impactful film or, it's like it's something significant when it comes to the movie industry. Like I just never understood that. Because some believe Snyder ruined the DCEU. Like, no, Snyder did not ruin the DCEU. I mean, I don't want to make this about Snyder and stuff like that because it's about Avatar. I don't want to dilute the conversation, but I'll just bring up real quick that it wasn't Snyder's fault that DC you know had a really bad point. It's Warner Brothers not knowing what they want when it comes to the DC universe. They didn't have a plan, and they were throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks. And they're still doing that to this day. Even though I've been enjoying most of the DC films post the 2017 Justice League movie, um you still feel like you don't know where this franchise is going as far as DC. You don't see a roadmap. You don't see where stuff is going to go. You don't see that interconnectivity that Snyder was trying to do with his film. So everything feels scattered all over the place. And personally, I really don't care if Snyder comes back to helm the DCU. I really don't. I love Snyder though, and I've enjoyed his DC movies. You guys know that. But uh, I care more about having a coherent DC universe and having the main staple of DC be there, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And like just having things coherent. I care about that more than having the Justice League movies continue at this point. I don't believe they will. I would like for them to continue Justice League 2 and 3, but I highly doubt that they will. You know, like we're still speculating if Superman's going to show up in Black Adam. So but anyway, that's enough I want to talk about with DC. But back to Avatar. So as far as relevancy, I think that's a ridiculous argument to have as far as that. Um, but I'm sure when The Way of Water comes out and it's if it hits better than the first movie, you'll definitely see it more in the pop culture. You definitely will see it. I guarantee you that we will see more merchandise. We will see more. We'll probably see some spin-off shows that they'll probably do. We'll see some more game tie-ins. You'll most likely see some more references. I'm sure shows will reference Avatar more. If it's going to be more in the mainstream after this point. So people worrying about that, and I'm sure it's going to be meme to death, and TikTok's going to be picking up stuff as well, and blah blah blah. Instagram for people that care about that stuff. I really don't care about that, but I'm sure when The Way of Water comes out, Avatar will be back in the conversation again, and people will reference it more. So that's an asinine that's an asinine argument in my opinion. Okay, and then another thing, the story. I guess we could talk about the story. That's the biggest point of contention when it comes to naysayers is that the story is not original. The characters aren't that interesting. Blah 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 blah. Like, oh my god, it's a repeat. It's a rehash of Dances with Wolves. It's a rehash of Fern Gully. It's a rehash of Pocahontas. It's a rehash of Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Okay, blah 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 blah. Y'all are acting like movies haven't copied off of other movies before. Like, really, I don't know what you were expecting with this movie. You were expecting James Cameron to reinvent the wheel. You were expecting James Cameron to have this super thought provoking film that goes into your psyche and makes you question the nature of reality and how humanity is. And you want everyone to have like these tragic backstories and all this shit. Like, okay, look, look, man. I didn't go into Avatar expecting a super complex story. Like like Stanley Kubrick level craziness. Like, has James Cameron ever really gave us that? Not really. I mean, cuz like if we go back to Terminator, that's a very straightforward plot. I mean, of course, the world is interesting and complex, but as far as like the main conflicts of those movies, it's very straightforward. You pretty much will understand it from the get go. Like, nothing too crazy about that. Aliens had a pretty straightforward plot as well. Once again, it had some creative stuff as far as the lore of the xenomorphs and the other planets and stuff like that. But as far as the main objective of the film, very straightforward. You know, very simple plot. True Lies, same thing. Very simple plot, straightforward. I don't understand what people were expecting this to be a super complex film, and like as far as people pretending like other great movies are so original, like let's call it how it is, guys. Let's call it how it is. Um, Terminator, I mean, stuff like movies like Terminator and Alien and stuff like that, they're not the most original movies either. Terminator copied off of Back to the Future. I mean, yeah, they add some stuff and switch some things around. It's another time travel plot. Somebody has to go into the past to prevent something bad from happening in the future. Like that's Back to the Future, which like I will say like stuff like Back to the Future, that was very innovative for its time because you don't see movies tackling time travel in the way that they did. So you can hold that to a standard with Back to the Future. Like that's probably the thing that started the time travel craze. So I give you that. But like for people that love the Terminator movies, like those aren't super original movies. Alien, we've had that's not the most original franchise either. We had alien invasion movies before that. Um, so like as far as that concept, that's not very original either. And oh, I'm about to trigger. Hold on, guys. I'm about to make some people mad right now.
You triggered my trap card!
So let's talk about Star Wars for a second. You want to talk about originality? You want to talk about originality? Star Wars is anything but original. George Lucas even admitted himself that he copied a whole bunch of shit to make Star Wars. He's talked about it so many times. He talked about so much stuff that he was influenced by when making Star Wars, Seven Samurai, like all this other stuff. Like I could go down the list of stuff, but like you can look up interviews and stuff of George Lucas talking about all the stuff that he was influenced by when it came to Star Wars. And people that work with George Lucas, they even talk about that. So it's like you want to put Avatar at such a high standard that this needs to be so innovative and different and creative that nobody has seen it before. Oh, here's another thing that that's gonna trigger people.
You triggered my trap card!
Dune recently. Um People love this movie. Award-winning darling Denis Villeneuve has made such an innovative film. Which another thing, Dune is not the most original either. I do know that Dune inspired Star Trek. I mean, I'm sorry, no, not Star Trek. I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean to mix that up. Even though maybe it did, but that was another thing that Star Wars was influenced by was Dune. That technically that was the original Star Wars. So, but even Dune, like as far as its concepts and stuff like that, there's some things that are pretty familiar when it comes to Dune. And even like I even hear from people today that are aware that Star Wars came out after Dune. As far as like, as far as the books of Dune, they people that are aware, they can't help to compare Dune to Star Wars because they see too much familiar things from Star Wars when they weren't even aware that Dune was the one that started all that. And Star Wars just copied that stuff. So, you want to talk about originality? Like the movies that you're praising, half of it is not original. Let's talk about Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, another thing that George Lucas worked on with Steven Spielberg, that Indiana Jones is based off of those adventure serials back in the day. So Indiana Jones is not really original either. Like it's copying off of a bunch of stuff there. Um, and then Zeke, we got Zeke in the comments. What's up, Zeke? Nothing is original. Exactly. Nothing is original. Predator. Thank you for bringing that up, Predator. I mean, Daryl, Predator. Another thing, even though I love the Predator movies, that is not the most original either. Well, okay, actually, it's probably a little bit more original than Alien. But like because they do try to do they like there's some unique stuff with the Predator itself that I don't see a lot of movies doing the stuff that you do with Predator. But like even I feel some influences maybe from like the Thing or other creature features, Creature from the Black Lagoon and other stuff like Universal Monsters. Like you see some influences as far as that. So like I just really never understood this thing of like, oh, it's not original. I mean, because like it copied off of other movies. Like I said, it's Dances with Wolves and Fern Gully in space, it's Pocahontas in space. Okay, so let me address those. Let me address that shit that people want to keep comparing those movies to Avatar. Okay, Dances with Wolves. So I actually watched Dances with Wolves for the first time this year. I actually saw this a few weeks ago for the first time. Apparently, this was an award-winning darling. I never heard of this movie until people started comparing it to Avatar. That Avatar pretty much copied off of Dance with Wolves. Okay, so let me say off the front, off the gate, watching Dance with Wolves, um, I don't, I don't understand that comparison. That one I completely don't understand. There are slight similarities to Dance with Wolves with Avatar. Like, okay, you have the white man being um being taken in by the natives and falling in love with one of the native women there, which also in that movie he's the girl wasn't even like an authentic native. She was also adopted by the natives, so technically she's not fully a native person, but of course you want to play that comparison. Oh, they fall in love just like in Dances with Wolves. It's not even the chief's daughter either. She's not the chief's daughter. But people want to make that comparison. Oh, the white man falls in love with someone that's part of the natives, and that's pretty much it. Like, you don't like the motives are different, the climax is different, the motivations are different. Like, like hold on, what's his? Oh, I'm about to pull up the main actor's name. I can't believe I forgot his name. Hold on, guys. Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner. So Kevin Costner's character wasn't sent by like the Americans to infiltrate the natives and learn their ways and stuff like that. He literally was sent to an abandoned base in the middle of nowhere that just so happens to be in the territory where the natives are, and then he just so happens to find the natives because they rode their horses there, and then he eventually creates a bond with them. That was completely different from the motivations that Jake has in this movie. And like, there's not a big climactic battle with the natives versus the Americans like it is in Avatar. There's like natives versus um natives in that movie. So what comparisons are you talking about? And then for also another thing, for this movie to be such an award-winning darling, you want to talk about stuff that's not relevant because people don't talk about it all these years. I don't hear anybody talking about Dances with Wolves. Nobody talked about Dances with Wolves until Avatar came up. I don't hear anybody talking about Dancing with Wolves when it comes to the pop culture. So people want to throw that criticism in my face that Avatar is not relevant because stuff doesn't isn't being referenced from shows and shit like that. Nobody referenced Dances with Wolves. At least not to the point where like it's relevant. Like I said, I didn't know this movie existed. And this was best film of that year. And I'm gonna hot take for everyone. I thought the movie was bad. I thought it was pretty bad. I thought it was boring, absolutely boring. It had no reason to be 3 hours long, or however long it was. I don't know if that like, did I watch the extended cut or whatever, but however long it was, the pacing was awful. Kevin Costner was flat, so flat in that movie. He gave such a dry performance. Like, there was barely any depth with that movie. And I'm surprised it won Best Picture. Did it not have any competition that year? Like, it was so bad. And people are leaving this movie to a high standard? I never understood that. So, yeah, when people want to say this Dances with Wolves, like, that is probably the most ridiculous comparison I ever heard. Now, okay, Fern Gully. I will slightly give you Fern Gully. Okay, so I did watch Fern Gully also recently for the first time. Apparently, this is a cult classic. Have not heard of this movie until literally like a couple like I haven't heard this movie until people started bringing it up with Avatar. And okay, I see slightly more similarities with that because they also ride winged bat creatures in that, and then you have the guy that like is a regular person that learns the ways of being a fairy and stuff like that, and then he eventually becomes a fairy and starts defending, starts learning their ways and falling in love with the girl and stuff like that. So okay, sure, that's I'll give you that. But like as I said, you want to talk about movies that are relevant. Nobody talks about Fern Gully either. Nobody talks about Fern Gully. Nobody. Like, okay, maybe like slightly more people are talking about Fern Gully than they are about Dancing with Wolves, because apparently this is a cult classic. Like, I guess they put in like the category with those movies that feel a lot like Disney animated films, but they aren't Disney animated films. They're made from different studio. It's those type of films. But like, I don't see Fern Gully in the pop culture that people are claiming that it is. So it's like I don't I don't know why people are bringing up Fern Gully all of a sudden, but sure, I guess. And as far as how did I enjoy Fern Gully, I thought it was fine. I mean, it was fine. It was cute, I guess. Like I said, but like I don't feel like it left an impact as much as it was with Avatar. Um, but it's fine. I definitely don't see it being talked about that much. And okay, Pocahontas. Pocahontas. All right. Another thing I will give you, there's a lot of similarities to Pocahontas. But once again, in this movie, like John Smith's was not trying to go to the natives and learn their ways and blah 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 blah. Like he wasn't sent there by the the Americans to do that. Or, I'm sorry, the British. They weren't sent by he wasn't sent by the British to learn their ways or whatever. He just so happens to fall upon Pocahontas and then he falls in love with her because she's beautiful and she sings about how you should be more caring to nature. You take with all the colors of the wind. But Lily, that's it. I mean, okay, the Navi are very similar to the natives of to Indian people, Native Americans. The Navi are very similar to that. Okay, sure. So what? So freaking what? You're pretending like there hasn't been a whole bunch of other Native American films over the years. Like, so Avatar can't be inspired by Native Americans too? Like, honestly, that's really good. That's a really good storytelling to go off of because Native American. I always like Native American stories, which is why I was really disappointed with Dancing with Wolves. I thought it would be way better than what it actually was. But like Native American stories, I think are really interesting, and I like when movies take inspiration from that because it makes you think about how we look at the world and how we should be more connected with nature, and and like how colonization has left the impact on the world and society and stuff like that. So it's like, I like that it's influenced by Native American culture. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And then okay, here's another hot take for you guys. I'm not a big fan of Pocahontas either. I think it's absolutely boring. And this is the movie I was actually really excited to watch when I was a kid. Because I'll tell you a little story. Back in the day, I had a VHS tape of The Lion King. I used to watch the VHS tape of The Lion King. For all of you Gen Zs out there that that don't have um, VHSs nowadays, or VHS tapes. Some of you probably like, what is that? What's the VHS tape? But yes, I had the original VHS tapes of a lot of the old Disney films. I'm so disappointed that I gave them away. But anyway, I remember when I'm watching the VHS tape of The Lion King, they would show like previews to their other old Disney classics on there, and they had an extended preview of Pocahontas right before The Lion King started. They would show this the extended scene of Pocahontas singing Colors of the Wind, and I thought it looked awesome. Like I was so excited to see it after watching that. I thought it was going to be so good, but eventually when I saw it as a kid, I didn't think anything of it. I kind of forgot about it literally a month later after I watched it. But yeah, Pocahontas, like you want to set Avatar to that low standard. How disappointed. Avatar is definitely better than Pocahontas. Y'all can at me on that. I don't care. I said it. Avatar is better than Pocahontas. Get at me. So whatever. So, okay, so probably the biggest one that I feel like is the most similar to is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. So this one I had probably the most struggle with internally because like Atlantis: The Lost Empire is one of my favorite Disney movies, and I can't deny at this point that like there are a lot of similarities when it comes to Atlantis and Avatar. Like I can't deny it because like Milo in Atlantis goes to, tries to learn the ways of the Atlanteans just like how Jake is in this movie. And of course, there's a bunch of other similarities like this, like so when it's kind of strange that both of these movies that I love so much and they feel so similar to each other. It almost feels like I need to choose one or the other, but I'm not going to do that because I love both of these movies for different reasons. But like as I said, like this whole thing of like, oh, it's not an original movie. Okay, so is a lot of films. And you arguing that, oh, it's not a complex story, it's very straightforward. What's wrong with having a straightforward story? It's okay to have movies that aren't this super complex thing, Like, it's okay to just enjoy it for what it is. Like, it's a fun sci-fi adventure movie, that just so happens to have some messages of spirituality and, you know, and nature and stuff like that. So it's like that's completely fine. I'm okay with that. So I don't care if this movie is like not the most original thing in the world. I didn't expect it to be. And as far as like another thing, people are saying that the characters aren't that interesting. I really don't understand that criticism at all. Um okay, actually okay, you know what? I say for certain characters, I see why people say that. But for the most part, I don't know why people are saying that these characters are bad. They're definitely not. And like the biggest surprise to me in this movie that I thought I actually wasn't gonna like was Sam Worthington as Jake. Because I wasn't a big fan of Sam Worthington. Um, because like I remember back in like in the 2009, 2010, like those that era, like I saw like Hollywood trying to push Sam Worthington in everything. And at the time, I thought he was just a charisma vacuum. Like I didn't think he was that. He didn't have that much personality when it came to his performances. And I feel like they were just trying to shove Sam Worthington in our face because I do remember him being in like stuff like Terminator Salvation and stuff like that, and I didn't like him that much in that. So I didn't expect to like him that much in this movie, but I ended up really enjoying Sam Worthington as Jake. I thought he was very good. Now, what I will say, when he's in his human form, okay, there's a couple of moments where he's doing his typical Sam Worthington thing, but I would say like he came off a little bit more charming in this film. James Cameron was able to pull something a little bit out of him in this, and I feel like his character kind of fit his awkward stoic delivery that he's given, at least in my opinion, because he used to be like in the army, and then he lost his legs, he's paralyzed, and then talking a little bit of the stuff that they revealed in the extended cut of the movie, showing how the state of the Earth is, how then it's like dystopian future, like everything's like futuristic, and it looked like something from Blade Runner, I guess, like run down, but at the same time super futuristic, and he feeling like he doesn't have a purpose in life anymore. Like he feels like there's not much to live for. Like he doesn't have motivation to continue because he lost his legs, he lost his brother, so that and like humanity has just gone so far down the tubes. Like I could see him being in that type of state. But however, what I really like about his character is that when he was brought into the Avatar program and brought to replace his twin brother to be part of that program, and he found another he found another reason to live, or like start a new life on Pandora, with him being able to take control of the Avatar, and him being able to feel what it's like to have legs again, or being in a completely new body in a new planet with a new culture. I thought that was just all really cool, because let me tell you, when Jake goes blue, he becomes a completely different character. He becomes revitalized. You see more expression. You see him being more excited because of him being in this new avatar body. You can just see him having another, just having more personality, having more motivation, having more emotion and stuff like that. And like that's another thing why I love about the motion capture is that he was able to get so much more expression with him being in the avatar body than he was being in a regular human. And I feel like he kind of played a part in the film because you see the dichotomy of him being a regular person versus him being a Navi. So I thought all of that was just really interesting. It played into the story really, really well. Okay, we have Brian, Master of None, jumping in. Thank you for stopping by, Brian. He says, sorry I'm late. Avatar is fun and a spectacle. I definitely agree. And then he said, Sam Worthington ruined Terminator Salvation for me. I 100% agree, man. Like, I wish they just completely cut him out of the film because he was like dead weight to the movie. Like, the film should have focused on Christian Bale as John Connor. Like, he should have been the main focus, and he wasn't the main focus. He was like, um, he almost felt like a supporting character in his own movie. And so, yeah, I hated his character in Terminator Salvation. I completely agree with you. But like in this movie, he was very good as the lead, and he felt so relatable. He felt an everyman, and that just made him more relatable. They didn't try to make him to be like this macho hero and stuff like that. And it just made him more grounded. Him being paralyzed and him wishing to live this different life with the Navi and stuff like that. It just helped me to connect with him more. And also it didn't it with him being awkward, or not being the best person for the job. It just made me want to root for him more when he learns more of the culture and he becomes a better warrior. And and the Navi are trusting him with leading and stuff like that. I just found all that stuff was very inspirational. And then the MVP of this movie, I'm sure you guys know who I'm about to talk about. We're going to talk about Natiri, played by Zoe Saldana. Dude, there's not much I can say about Zoe Saldana that hasn't already been said. She's the queen of sci-fi right now. Like every sci-fi property that Zoe Saldana touches turns to gold. You know, of course, we remember her as Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, and her in Star Trek. Um, and I guess we could also count on Netflix. The what was that movie that she did with Ryan Reynolds? The Atom Project. She was pretty good in that. Just like whenever she touches sci-fi, it turns to gold. But I just loved Neytiri in this movie. She was, yeah, obviously she was the best character in this film. You got so many layers with her character. Um, and just like I just was engaged with her the most. Like I loved the chemistry between her and Jake is electrifying. Like I loved every time we saw Jake and Neytiri together on screen, it was magical. Absolutely magical. I loved it. And seeing her, you know, teaching Jake the ways of Navi and Pandora, it was just very interesting. I loved all that stuff. And I definitely bought the romance between Jake and Neytiri. Now, of course, we can go back to, is this the most original thing you've seen in a sci-fi film? No, of course we've seen before that, the guy is like totally uncultured about their ways, and of course you have somebody training them to learn the ways and stuff like that. We've seen that before, but the way they do it in this movie, it's very endearing. It's very touching. It's very it's just it's very engaging to watch. It just, at least in my opinion, especially learning the different, just learning the ways of like of their god, like their tree, Awa. That's that's the name of their what they worship in the movie. Just learning how all of nature is connected and how the animals are connected to the Navi, how the Navi is attached to nature, how everything is connected in the great circle of life. Of course, I had to throw it in there, but like all of that was really interesting, and like I like that it was a excuse me, slow progression of first Neytiri not liking him at all, but slowly starting to warm up to him, and then starting to really like them, like each other, and then they eventually fall in love. Now, of course, another thing that people want to make fun of, like I'll let you guys, get your laughs out now. Like, of course, when they made it under the tree and stuff like that, people want to make fun of. Oh, it's blue people having sex. Oh, it's gross. I don't want to think about it. Oh, 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 oh. Y'all are just some pervs, aren't you? You've got, hold on. You forgot Clash of the Titans. Let's not talk about Clash of the Titans. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Um, yeah, that's another movie Sam Worthington uh, ruined. Jesus Christ, I hate Clash of the Titans so much. I hate it. I hate it. But anyway, going back to, yeah, I know people want to make fun the of like, how do the Navi mate? It's kind of gross because the tail thing that they use to connect to the animals. Okay, if you guys saw the extended cut of Avatar, there was an extended scene of Neytiri and Jake using their tails to connect with each other, and they feel their feelings and stuff like that. And Jake had like an arousal face or whatever, and it's like people like, oh, they just had sex, oh, blah blah blah. No, they didn't have sex. Stupid. Like, okay, first of all, if that was the case, if they were having sex with those things, like, I don't think that the Navi will be connecting their things to other animals if they were able to impregnate the animals. Like, no, obviously that's not how they mate. Like, come on, use logic, guys. Use logic. Though they do establish that they do get pregnant, like, kind of similar to how humans do, because in the way of water, you see a bunch of pregnant Navi there. So I am very interested to see how they expand on, like, talk about how do they procreate and stuff like that. That's something I would like to know. But I know there's some people would be like, oh, that's gross. Oh, I don't want to see aliens mate and blah blah blah. That's another thing. You technically there's no sex in this movie. There's none. There's no sex scenes between aliens or humans in this film. And people are acting like this is like some NC-17 stuff because, oh, they're seeing some anatomy that's very weird and not like the humans' ways. Well, obviously they're not going to have the same anatomy that humans have because they are aliens. They're going to have different biology. Like, you can't expect everything to look exactly like humans or feel very similar to what humans do. Yes, there's some similarities here and there, but you can't keep comparing biology of aliens to us. Like, I think that's really, I think it's very creative and innovative what James Cameron did with the anatomy of the Navi and the aliens in this film. Like, I think it's pretty cool. And you know what? I like that. I like that mating scene between the two. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was romantic. Definitely more romantic than other shit that they tried to try to play off as romantic, like Twilight or 50 Shades of Grey and shit. I'll watch this all day before I rewatch those movies again. I bought the romance between Nate, Terry, and Jake. And like, I if they decided to have a sex scene, a full on sex scene with the Navi, I don't know. I almost wouldn't mind watching it just to see what it would be like. If, but like, I mean, not that I'm like advocating for them to put an Avatar sex scene in here. Like, hopefully that's not something they try to do with the sequels. But like, I I'm so much invested in Jake and Neytiri's like chemistry. Like I wouldn't mind seeing a sex scene between them if the story calls for it. But anyway, what I also thought was very interesting was like how this networking system that the Navi have that like they're able to they're able to transfer people's mind into another body, and it's like it's like and they're able to do other things like it's just really cool how they do it. They have their own like network of like neurons and stuff like that. I think they talked about in the movie that like they have more connections than the human brain, which I thought all that was just really really cool. There's some scientific stuff that they put in here. Like it's not all brain dead shit that people claim that it is. But yeah, I thought all of that was very very interesting. I liked it. Um Okay, now as far as the other characters, Sigourney Weaver as Grace, I thought she was really good. Um, of course, you got to have some aliens and alumni in there. I'm glad that they were able to bring back Sigourney Weaver for this movie. She did a really good job. I really liked her as the scientist, like the scientist with attitude and stuff like that. But also, you could tell that she cares about the people that she works with. And at first, she didn't like Jake because he has no experience or training with the program whatsoever. So she's like, "Oh, I can't work with this dude." But eventually, they start to form a bond, and they end up, like the whole bond between Jake and the team. I actually like that. Um, and I like that with Grace, they had like in the extended cut, they also elaborate that she tries to teach the Navi the ways of the humans, like they teach them English and like school and stuff like that. But of course, there was a falling out, between the humans and the Navi, and like that ended up they ended up abandoning it, which was kind of sad. I wish that was the stuff that they included in the theatrical. I'll just be straight up. I wish that a 3 hour cut was the version that we saw from the beginning. I don't understand why they cut it down to 2 hours and 45 minutes. Because if you guys forget that Titanic, I can't believe I didn't talk about Titanic when I talk about James Cameron movies. But like Titanic is another movie that I love. Another one, it used to be one of the highest grossing films of all time too when it first came out. So it's like they were able to release a 3 hour Titanic movie. Why couldn't they release a 3 hour Avatar movie? And I think the movie would have been better received if that was the first movie from the get-go. But yeah, I just love the bond that Jake and the team have. And then we have Norm. um I guess he was coming off as like he was like the sidekick, or they were trying to have him be like the best friend of Jake, I guess. Also a science nerd that works closely with Grace. I liked him. I thought he was pretty interesting. He got a good person. He had like a quirky, nerdy personality that I personally liked. Um, I wish we had though. I will say like when it comes to Norm and Michelle Rodriguez's character, what's her name? Trudy. Trudy probably had the least amount of development in this film. Like she's the helicopter girl, and that's about it. So I wish there was a little bit more. And like there's some deleted scenes that they showed, like that Norm and Trudy hook up in the movie. Like there could have been another romance, between Trudy and Norm that we could have expanded on. Um, so like that could have been something to give at least Michelle Rodriguez a little bit more development, because like there's not much there. She was likable enough. She contributed to the team, but like I don't know, there's just not much to mention. They're not too much with the character, so I'll give you that with her. And of course, I like seeing Michelle Rodriguez, because like watching her in the Fast and Furious movies, of course. Um, so moving on with the characters. Okay, let's actually talk about the villains in this movie. Parker, who he's like the evil corporation guy. I personally kind of liked him. I liked his personality in the movie. He was a lot more witty and stuff like that. Like I actually thought it was a nice breath of fresh air, because because I expected everyone to be like, the villains. They would typically make them like the serious or the crazy ones, but like this one, like with Parker, some people will probably think that he felt out of place, but for me, I thought he kind of fit weirdly because like he shows like another foil with like the corrupt business people that only care about the money and the investments and stuff like that. So it was just nice to see that point of view there, and he was a nice foil to Stephen Lang's character, Quarrel. Yeah, Quarrel. I loved him in this movie. Like people want to complain that he's over the top and shit like that, like or like he's like this macho dude and doing his over the top stuff. Like I liked how over the top he was, man. Like I loved how much he's just dedicated to being like this no this like take no shit attitude and like he like just tough tough macho dude. I loved it. I don't care how over the top it was. Like he was it just made him more charismatic and more, exciting to watch. I don't expect every villain to have like this compelling tragic backstory and stuff like that. Like some villains I just want to have fun watching. And Stephen Lang's character is Quarrel. Like I thought he was exciting to watch. He was exciting to watch. I enjoyed watching him, man. He was a really great villain and like he had some of the best like quips and one-liners in this movie, man. Like loved him from start to finish. I'm looking forward to how they incorporate him back into the sequels because apparently he's going to be the main villain of all 5 movies. So I don't know how that's going to work, but don't bet it against James Cameron. I'm sure he's going to have it make sense, but like he straight up died. He took 2 arrows to the chest. So I'm very interested to see how they will explain that. I'm sure it'll have something to do with his mind, you know, being connected to AWA and stuff like that, but we'll see how it goes. And then we get to I want to talk about a little bit more about the natives. Hold on, let me pull up the pictures real quick. Um, sorry guys, I have the pictures. I'm trying to go through them. Oh, do I not have him? Do I not have him? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll pull up his picture in a second. I guess we could talk about the chief. Um, hold on. What's the chief's name? Hold on. What's the chief's name? What's his name? Oh, Etukan. Etukan. Um, I wish we got a little bit more from the chief too. That was another character that I wish that we had a little bit more development with him. Um, but like I guess I did. I liked him enough. Like he was the main chief. I just wish he had a little bit more of a presence. Because he is the main chief of the Navi. And stuff like that. And I know like I guess he's technically there to pass the torch to somebody else because he's getting older. But like I don't know. I just wish we had a little bit more of him. Just have a little bit more of a presence because like he didn't have as much of a presence as as her. Hold on, let me put her name, Mowat. Mowat. I did like Mowat. Like she had more of a presence. Like she was helping to drive the pod a little bit more. And obviously being Neytiri's mother and stuff like that. So and she was directly being connected to Awa and stuff like that. She speaks, Awa mainly speaks through her and stuff like that, and she helps transfer people's minds into other bodies, and she does other ritual stuff, which I thought was it was interesting, very interesting. Um, but okay, now I got his picture back. Got his picture up. So we can talk about Sute. So okay, so Sute, I guess is a typical like native guy that doesn't like the outsider, and he's you know trying to give Jake hell and stuff like that when he's trying to learn the ways of the Navi, and he's the one that's originally supposed to be mated to Neytiri, but Neytiri ends up falling for Jake, which awkward there. Mr. Studio Girl, like for real. But I thought he was fine. I thought he was pretty solid. I wish there's a little bit more dichotomy between him and Jake. To be honest, I wish we had a little bit more development. With their rivalry, and eventually seeing him warm up to Jake a little bit more. Like I feel like there wasn't that like big. There wasn't like a transition of him from hating him to loving him. I feel like it just went from liking him to I'm with you now. I will fly with you. I wish there was just a little bit more where we saw him starting to grow an attachment to Jake, like similar to how Nate Terry did with Jake. Um, so that's probably the only thing I would say. And then like I would say as soon as Jake and Nate Terry like fall in love with each other, like I wish there was a little bit more backlash or like you know, I wish they would address more like the fact that hey, like Sute was originally supposed to be with her. Like I wish there was a little bit more contention when it comes to that. Like and apparently there was another deleted scene where they where Jake and Sute had a fight to for her honors. I think that's what it was. Like it was more of a full on fight instead of like a just like a little quarrel that they had in the movie, which I guess it still had the point across because Sute was still pissed at him. But like I don't know, I wish there was just a little bit more of like impact of like, hey, this guy stole your girl, like I wish there's a little bit more contention with that. And then another thing that bothered me when watching the theatrical with the re-release is that like when Sute dies, falls to his death, like you don't see the aftermath of him. Like they don't address him dying at all. But in the extended cut, they actually have a scene of Jake and Neytiri and the other natives like at his side when he's about to die, and then Sute like saying like we're brothers now with between him and Jake, like actually accepting him before he dies, and then asking Jake to do the ritual killing because he's already dying anyway. So like he wanted Jake to do the ritual killing on him, which I thought that was a really nice scene, to give Sute more dimension and more connection with Jake and everyone else. That he doesn't feel like a one off or like someone on the side that we don't care about as much. That added another layer to his character that I'm surprised they made him cut out. Like that was a very important scene. I wish they kept that in there. It's such a shame. Because that really would have added to his character a lot more. But yeah, I guess as far as like the main characters that play a part in the film. Um, but as I said, I don't think any of these characters are bad. Like none of them. Like like some of them, yeah, I wish I had more development, but like they're all likable. I actually cared about what happens to them. So I mean, if you could at least have us care for what happens to them, I don't need like just the whole. I don't need all of them to have like this complex backstory or like multiple layers and stuff like that. At least make the characters likable, and they at least did that. Now, could they have made more of a dynamic? Like I said, they could have made it more dynamic with some of the other natives and like the chief and Sute and stuff like that. They could have added more development to Michelle Rodriguez's character to add more of a bond with her, give her more dimension. And honestly, there could have been more of like a dichotomy between the humans and the Navi. You could probably add something with the humans to make them not seem like they're like the bad guy, like they're doing this stuff to save the future of their race and stuff like that, or they're scarce for resources and minerals and like the economy's dropped or whatever. So like they can that you could have done something like that to make them seem like, oh, what they're doing is right. But I didn't need that. That didn't make or break the movie for me. I think really just people are just nitpicking just to nitpick, you know? Like they're really expected this movie to be the next Citizen Kane or something like that. And I guess you can't help to have those expectations for this being the highest grossing film of all time, but like I I'm I'm good with the story with what they gave me, you know? I guess like the only thing that I feel like they could have elaborated on as far as Pandora is like maybe they could have expanded more on like the other Navi tribes, you know, because like at the end with the climax when they're gathering all the troops. I mean, gathering all the clans from across the world. I don't think across. I don't think completely across the world, but like in that territory, there with the other clans. Like I would have liked to know more about the clans and how they're different from the tribe that we follow and stuff like that. Like how are they different and stuff like that. I would have liked to see more of that. Um, and like I said, maybe just a little bit more of like how they popularize, like like how they have babies and stuff like that is something I'm curious about. Maybe that's something that they can expand on in the sequels. So, which is why that's why I'm not really like harping on like I didn't get as much development as I wanted in this movie, but they did enough to where I understand how the world works. I'm interested in how this world is. I'm invested in the characters, you know, and it's like they did enough for me that like I care about what happens. You know, I'm invested in the story. They did enough for me. Like I wouldn't say it's like the bare minimum. I think they did more than the bare minimum. But like they didn't try to be too crazy with the concepts and the stories, you know. They have some subliminal stuff here for people that study spirituality and like that love nature and stuff like that, the connection between the animals and stuff like that. They have stuff for there, but like not not too much where they're trying to hurt your head with it, which is stuff that I appreciate, you know. This is a big sci-fi blockbuster, and that's all I expect it to be. If I get more from it from a complex and story standpoint and it makes sense, that's just the added bonus. That's just icing on the cake for me, you know. So I think people just need to calm down, you know? And like I really think people should give this franchise a chance, you know? Cuz I think this can end up being some of the one of the best movie franchises out there. Sci-fi movie franchises. I think this is a franchise that could be on the same level as Star Wars and Alien and Terminator, you know? Dune is trying to put their hat in the ring. Like I think it could be up there, man. I really don't think people should be like brushing this off like it's not that interesting or it's not that innovative or you know or it's not that good because you you definitely feel the passion and the dedication that James Cameron put into this world. You feel the creativity and the filmmaking on display. You cannot deny how much passion is put into this. And it will be a shame if people just decided not to see the other sequels or not give it its just due because like we possibly won't be able to see something like this ever again if people just ignore this or act like it's not that big of a deal. Like we won't see innovative stuff like this. We need films like this, man. As similar to what I said about Top Gun Maverick, they don't make movies like Top Gun Maverick anymore. And the only way you'll get movies like that is if you support movies like that. It's same thing with this. You want to see more innovative stuff with sci-fi, you need to support the stuff not just with Star Wars, not just um with Marvel, not just with you know like with Terminator and Aliens, but like other original ideas. This is also an original idea. You guys want original projects? You gotta support stuff like this. The stuff that they're doing with the technology is second to none. And I want to see more movies put as much passion, even half the passion that Avatar does with this movie. Like seriously, guys, it's I don't understand why people are hating on this movie or ignoring this. And like give this franchise a chance, man, because I feel like the story will get better from here. I believe the story in Avatar: The Way of Water will be better. I think they will. And I think as the sequels go on, it's just going to get more crazier and crazier. And I think people will be on board. But I encourage people to give it a chance, man. Like, Here's how much like I feel like this movie is leaving an impact. Like this is just one occurrence, it could be an exception or whatever, but like, this says something, to me at least. When I went and saw the re-release, I saw it with a friend. And if this friend is watching, this person knows who they are. Hello, love. How you doing? I'm glad you could watch. Um, but so she is this person I saw it with, my friend. She has never seen Avatar. Like the re-release was the first time that she saw it. Which I thought was crazy. But like she's a person that don't even care for sci-fi movies like that. She's not really into science fiction like that. She's not into the big blockbusters and, big action movies and stuff like that. You know what she likes? She likes murder mysteries. She likes documentaries. She's that type of person. She don't care for like action movies like that. But I was like, I had to have her go see Avatar, because this is an experience that I feel like all moviegoers should see. And when she saw it re-release with me, she really enjoyed it. She really liked it. I mean, she thought it was like crazy, like, with all the effects and the crazy alien stuff, but like she actually really enjoyed that movie. And she was actually looking forward to The Way of Water. So that tells me that this movie leaves an impact on somebody, man. And I feel like it's a movie that anybody can enjoy, no matter how prunish people are, no matter what people's tastes are when it comes to movies. Like you could, I mean, you don't even have to be a fan of sci-fi to enjoy this movie, and like that tells something. Like as I said, this is like, man, it's just a shame that people are just writing it off, and people think that this movie is not going to be this franchise is not going to be successful. I hope this movie comes out and proves everybody wrong, and I feel like it will. But overall, man, I love this movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I don't feel ashamed to say that. I really don't. I don't care what people got to say to me. People can make fun of this movie all they want. People can mock it all they want. You know, people can keep saying how it's a rehash of Dancing with Wolves and Ferngully and Pocahontas or whatever. I really don't care. Yeah, it rehashes some ideas, but like the way it's executed, it's done in a unique and creative way. As if you're going to copy stuff, do something creative and innovative with it. And in my opinion, Avatar did it. The effects are groundbreaking. The world is so creative and like detail oriented. It's such a visual spectacle, probably the biggest visual spectacle I've ever seen. I like the characters. I like Jake. I like Neytiri. I'm invested in the natives. I'm invested in some of the humans. I like the villains. I like Coral and I like Parker. I thought they were interesting villains to watch. I like the spiritual messages in the film. I like the messages of nature and the Native American ties and stuff like that. I think it's all interesting stuff, man. Like this is one of the best sci-fi films ever made. Yeah, I said it. Avatar is one of the best sci-fi films ever made. And if you don't feel the same way, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I guess I hope Dune does it for you. I guess. But like honestly, I like this more than Dune. I really enjoyed Dune though, even though it was half a movie, and I am looking forward to seeing how Dune Part 2 does. But like people want to talk about innovative sci-fi properties they want to put into the mainstream. Yeah, I'm open to Dune, but like don't be sleeping on Avatar too. That could be another thing. So man, yeah, I love this movie, you guys. I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So overall, I'm gonna give Avatar. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna give Avatar an A-. It's great. It's great, man. As I said, the only reason I don't give it a solid A or an A+ is, as I said, there was some details with Pandora I would like to know more. There's a couple of characters that I wish had a little bit more development. Um, And if we're comparing the theatrical cut to the extended cut, it's for me it's apples and oranges, to be honest. Like if people are gonna watch Avatar for the first time, it should be the extended cut. I do feel like that theatrical mess with the quality a little bit. Not enough to be like I say it's a bad movie. It's still a really good film, but like you would have gotten more from the story and the characters if people watched the extended cut. So that's how I feel about it. Okay, so before we close it out, of course, I wasn't gonna forget talking about that mid-credit scene from the Avatar: The Way of Water. So it's not much, it's just a little peek. Not nothing super exciting happened. It was a scene of, I believe it's Jake and Neytiri's kids. They are playing with the new Navi will be following in the Way of Water. That's more like the water based Navi, I guess. They're all swimming underwater, and like the new the new Navi will be following. So they're more in tune with the water. They're able to swim longer. They're able to breathe underwater better, and like the Jake and Neytiri's kids aren't as fluent in swimming and holding their breath as long, and so they're trying to swim with the other kids, but they have to go up they have to go up for air a couple of times because they're not able to hold their breath as long as the others. And the underwater the water Navi, I'm gonna call them that. The water Navi children are like talking about how Jake and Neytiri's kids aren't like, they're not as in tune with swimming as they are, and they're like we should leave them or whatever. And then the girl water not the one of the girl water Navi is like, I think the only girl there. I don't fully remember, but like that girl's like, no, we should just give him a chance or whatever. And so um and so the most of Jake's kids and then the other water Navi kids are like gathering together, and one of one of Jake's kids swims off and is like, is distracted with the wonder of the water and stuff like that. I think, okay, this is like a super spoilery, so it's like the one of Jake's kids that's supposed to be based off of Grace. um I guess that because Sigourney Weaver's playing one of Jake's kids, which is that's kind of interesting. That's kind of weird. But so she that's the girl that wanders off and swims and like is like, ooh, look at all this and stuff like that. And then the scene ends. So as I said, it's not really that big of a scene, you know. It's just a little peek, just to, I guess, give you an idea of the atmosphere and the effects and like, stuff like that. Nothing like super impactful. It's not a Marvel mid credit stinger. Um, but like, I still thought it was interesting. Like, well, I guess the one thing I will take away from it is like the visuals. The visuals, man, is spectacular. It looks like, coming just right off of coming from watching the re-release, and then I'm watching the effects of The Way of Water. I see a difference with that. It looks better than the re-release, and I thought the re-release looked better than the original version that we got. But The Way of Water looks even better than that. I already can tell a difference. Though the technology that they're using for the underwater stuff, I think they're going to do some innovative stuff with that. I can't wait to see what they do with the underwater stuff. It looked real. And like the motion capture on the kids look real. Like those are real aliens. Like they look even more convincing than they do in the first movie. I can tell the details. I'm sure the casuals probably won't pick up on those little details on like how they look on their face and the texture and the water environment, how it like interact with the environment. But like, me studying film, I notice that stuff and I totally see a difference. Like, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see The Way of Water, man. I am so excited. I'm so excited. Like, and I know people want to brush off this movie because like the people are just seeing it for the spectacle and stuff like that. Like that's all it is eye candy. Well, hell, give me all the eye candy I can take, man. I'll watch it for just even the eye candy alone. Even if I don't even like the story, I still think the movie would be worth watching just from an effects standpoint. If it's this great, man, I can't wait to see what they do with this franchise, man. I really can. I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited. Fuck the haters, man. I don't care what they got to say. I believe this movie's gonna prosper, man. People are gonna go watch this movie. I think even the haters that are complaining about this, I think they're secretly gonna see it just to hate watch it. You know, because you just want to see what all the hype's about, and then they're probably gonna do a hate piece on it, even though they secretly enjoy it. There's probably those type of people. So I have no doubts that this franchise is gonna go on. I can't wait to see it. James Cameron, you did it again. But anyway, that is my preamble on Avatar. Dang, I went 2 hours. I didn't expect to go that long. But like, I'm so passionate about this, man. I love this franchise. I love Avatar. I love it. And I want five sequels, man. I can't wait for the other four movies, man. This this is innovative sci-fi, at least in my opinion. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Avatar and the re-release. I want to know, what did you guys think about Avatar? What are you guys' thoughts on it? Whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you're in the middle on it. I want to know. Comment your thoughts down below. Please be respectful though, and give me like a valid criticism of why you guys don't enjoy it. If you guys don't enjoy it, like give me some valid reasons why you don't enjoy it. I'm welcome to all opinions, but like if you love this movie, gush about it too. Like I'll like comment all everyone's thoughts down below. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to watch me rant about this film. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys did, please leave a thumbs up. Leave a like if you enjoy my takes on things. Please, it helps me in the algorithm, man. Helps me so I'll get more traction, so I get more subscribers, and then I'll be able to get monetized, and then I'll be able to update the quality for you guys. But yeah, man, like and subscribe on the road to 500, and hopefully we get to 1,000, and that'll be great. Now I don't understand this 4,000 hours of watch time that I have to get once I get 1,000 subscribers. That's nuts. But you know what? I'm gonna try and reach that goal. Never say never. But yes, please like and subscribe if you enjoy what I do. If you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing, please hit the bell, and you'll be notified. Hopefully, YouTube's weird with the bell and stuff like that. But please make sure that the bell is notified, so most likely you will be notified on future videos I'll be doing. So, of course, I'm going to do a spoiler discussion on Avatar: The Way of Water when it comes out. Of course, I will. You will see that, and I will see it in IMAX 3D. I'm going to try and see it in IMAX 3D. But yeah, I will definitely give you guys my thoughts on The Way of Water when it comes out. So tune in for that. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys, man. That's all I have for you, movie fans, you James Cameron's fans, you Avatar fans out there. Do not underestimate James Cameron. He always gives us gold, and he's going to continue to give us gold. Never bet against James Cameron, bro. That's the moral of the story. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys. And I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later. I see you. I know that was corny. But I do. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. All right. Talk to you guys later, guys.